complicated, and it's got some funny cutting we're going to do with our trimmer, but we're going to break that down and make it easy. This is what they call a theater style card. So here's the desk. Okay, so we're starting out with this piece of cardstock here, which is going to be our base, and it's 5.5 by 11. And then we're going to start out with some scoring. Bring in the trimmer. I usually score with the scoring tool, but I'll go ahead and do this. I have this funny little, I don't know, 1/8 inch ruler on here, because I had some people asking lots of questions about 1/8 of an inch and getting confused. And so another demonstrator, her husband made this up, and I decided to put it on my trimmer, and people have seemed to like it. So it's kind of stuck there. It's a free download on my website. It's printed on basic white cardstock, and then I cut it into the little strips, and then I laid packing tape over the top and rolled it to underneath before I put it down. So it's slick, like it's not going to get dirty because it's got the packing tape on it. And one tip I need to point out is if you do go download it and print it, make sure you print it in actual size, because if you shrink to fit, then your little lines are not going to line up. It's not going to be actual size. In the PDF tutorial, there is a diagram where I showed you the sizes of this and where all the score lines are. And we're going to just take on the long side, we're going to score at 1 3/4. And then at 3.5. And then it's at 7 8 3/4, but you can also just flip it around and do the 1 3/4. And then the 3.5 on the opposite side. So the diagram is going to show you how to do it if you have the arm out. Because I'm on camera with limited space, I did it just on the short ends. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and burnish it with the score line. Because it's such a light color and we're on camera, I want you to be able to see where the score lines are. And as I'm burnishing, I noticed one of my score lines wasn't exactly straight. So when I did it, I made sure I'm flush over here and then pushed back into it. Because we don't want to be, you know, askew. We want it to be even. Do that again, making sure we are even with the end. And I need my trimmer again, but let's get it out of the way till I can burnish these. And this is why I like doing it with the scoring tool, because these are always perfectly straight. So that little piece in the middle is going to be our center. So I want it to come in like a gatefold this way. Now I'm going to bring back in my trimmer, and I'm going to flatten this out and put this on the 1 inch mark over here. Okay, so I'm at the 1 inch over here. Then I'm going to drop my cut blade in between these two panels. So not the end panel, but this middle one. So then we're just going to cut back and forth between these two.
Okay.
So from the first score line to the second score line. Then we're going to bring it down to the bottom, and I'm going to drop it in here. So it's kind of going to be the mirror image from the bottom. We're going to leave this panel whole, and then I'm going to cut between these two score lines again.
Okay.
Now that we've got these two cut, we're going to flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to put that on the 1 inch. I'm going to drop it in the middle, and then cut from score line to score line. Four slits, right?
Yep.
So there's two on each side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it this way, and we're going to put that score line in the track. And we're going to drop this in the middle. And we're going to do the same kind of thing that we're going to go from, rather from score line to score line, from cut to cut. So I'm just cutting along this. Okay, so I kind of missed the little corners because I didn't want to overshoot, because I overshot up here.
Yeah, I did too.
So I didn't quite do it, but an easy little snip, and I can make it pop up. There we go. So that's what you're looking to do, is cut it loose. Now, I will say, if you cut it, but don't burnish the score lines, this cut's going to be easier to do, because burnishing it kind of broke down the fibers and it made it harder for the blade to cut through. I burnished them because I wanted to show it on camera better. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this designer series paper on the ends. And then I'm going to take the pebbled path, and it's going to fit right in that section. So the edge is butting up against the edge of the designer series paper over here. And then that's going to give you that border in the middle. And I'm doing that to both sides. So each of the pebbled path is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So you should have another piece that's 3 by 3. And then you need an additional piece that's just going to be scrap that we're going to be able to stamp our flowers onto and then die cut them out. So it's just important to make sure which one is the 3 by 3, because that's the one that's going to fit onto this square. On the 3 by 3, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp randomly just so it's covered. And it doesn't matter in what way at all. I just want it covered. And so I did that in Smoky Slate, and then I did the centers in Lemon Lolly.
Smoky.
So this is just on the 3 by 3 piece. On the scrap, I'm going to do 3 more flowers. And I chose to do the 1 large and then the 2 kind of sunny side up flowers. And then there's the piece for the middle. I'm going to stamp the sentiment first. And then I'm just kind of going around stamping with the flowers. Having to really think about this so I don't stick the center of the flower into my gray ink pad. The inside piece is 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm die cutting out the big flower, the 2 sunny side up flowers, and one of the wispy leaves. And then I'm going to put that centerpiece in the center, and then the one that we stamped all the flowers on randomly is going to go on the right, and then the die cut piece is on the left. So I put the wispy stuff down just in a corner, so it'll look like it's popping out from behind a flower. And then I'm going to put the flowers on with dimensionals. They don't have to be, but I put mine on with dimensionals just to give it a little extra something. I kind of had them in place because I wanted to make sure they all stayed put. I guess it wouldn't matter if they fell off the edge. As long as they stay within the envelope, we're good. And then when it closes, just one goes over the top of the other. So that's our finished card. So what do you think? Was it as hard as you thought it would be, or did it come together okay?